Okay. Yeah, I think Rishabh has shared the link. And previous year. Um, okay. Previous year questions, Harshita, we mostly like 99% questions I have covered. So usually the pattern is that in the videos, the first 10 questions are from previous year assignment, and the next questions they are new questions for your practice. So if you go through the videos, you will go through all of the previous year questions. And the exam pattern, I think students were also posting on the discussion forum about this, and the team shared some mail. There was a mail from the NPTEL team, and they told what kind of exam pattern will be there. So I'm not sure about that. You should check your mailbox, because definitely there was one mail I can remember. And I think, if I'm not aware what was that mail, but if Rishabh knows, Rishabh, you may please unmute or maybe type in the chat box and help Harshita with the question query.
So far as I know, it's MCQ only.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Rishabh. Thanks. I also asked the TA about this exam pattern, because other people were also confused about it. So they said that the exam pattern will mostly be like the assignment pattern. So it's because assignments are MCQs, most likely the exam will also be MCQ type. But still, you should. I mean, Rishabh must know better. So I think we can start now. Okay.
For this course, there will be no multiple select questions, right? Just single select questions.
Depends. I'm not aware. Sorry, because I'm
Okay.
not associated with the examination team. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the last weekly session. Most likely, it's the last one. And oh, also, Harshit, for regarding your question, if the questions are like multiple answer questions, then it's always mentioned like select all that apply, or even if it will be mentioned beforehand in the rule book as well, in the instructions as well. So you don't have to worry, like everything will be mentioned, because
Yeah. Okay.
that is the universal pattern everywhere, because we don't know how many options there will be. So most likely will be mentioned. So yeah, this weekly session is the last weekly session for this course. So your examination is when scheduled for when? Which date?
20.
Sorry,
20.
20th. Okay, okay, okay. So let's start with this last weekly live session number 12. And just to introduce, the course instructors are Professor Janendra Shukla from Triple IT Delhi and Professor Abhinav Dhal from IIT Ropar. And I am Akanksha from IIT Ropar. I am a PMRF scholar in the Department of CSC there. Uh, so let's discuss the week 12 content, which is mostly the ethics in effective computing. So today it's not nothing numerical, it's more of a intuitive and what's right, what's wrong, while regarding every aspect, every domain, we have some good things and bad things, and we need to take care of certain things, so that um, it's more of a like ethical contribution from my side, right? So this is mostly about these ethics in effective computing. So first 10 questions, as I mentioned, mostly it will be from the previous year assignments, and then the rest of the questions are just for your practice. So there might be some overlapping questions, but still, I've tried to capture as much information I could gather as possible. So hopefully this will be helpful for you. So also I would like you to type the answers in the chat box so that it's let's make this session more interactive, okay? So yeah, question number 1. Which of the following sensing strategies is written correctly in order of their privacy invasiveness? Is it accelerometer, GPS, Wi-Fi? And greater than means uh, more intrusive or invasive than the next one. So accelerometer, GPS, Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, screen touch, Wi-Fi, gyroscope or gyroscope, whatever you call it, calls, battery, camera. B. Okay, I'll wait for about 10 to 20 seconds before moving on to the explanation part. So let's wait for others to also answer this. Okay, Harshita is saying A, Rishabh is saying B. Let's see. So, oh, sorry. So let's discuss all of these modalities and how they are, what scale they are like invasive, right? So, accelerometer is what it does is measures the device's acceleration. For example, we have accelerometer in our phones or even like your smart watches. This sensor is present there. Devices acceleration, tilt, movement. It's commonly used in applications to detect orientation, movement, and gestures. Like your smartwatch, it can detect how are you running or are you standing. So it's based on the acceleration that you're, you know, um, it's sensing. So is it invasive? Um, Although it's just capturing your acceleration, is it invasive? Do you think? I don't think so because it's just capturing your acceleration. It's less sensitive in terms of as compared to other modalities that we will see. So it primarily tracks device movement and orientation rather than specific user activities or locations. If you know about how fast a person is running, then it's less invasive than if you know where the person is right now, the current location of that person. So location data is more sensitive, right? So accelerometer is not that invasive. Then comes GPS. GPS, it's giving the devices geographical location by receiving signals from satellites. So if you know the GPS data for one person, you can go literally track that person. So it is highly sensitive, right? Highly invasive because you can literally go and there might be some crime and there are a lot of possibilities. Of course, if it is you know um accessed without the user's consent, then of course it's a danger. Next, Wi-Fi detects nearby Wi-Fi networks and then their signal strengths and then connects whatever we have Wi-Fi in our phones, so it can connect to the Wi-Fi routers, nearby routers, right? And how is this invasive? Because if you can track which Wi-Fi the like IP address, you can know which network it is being connected to. Suppose you don't have like you turn off somehow you disable the GPS tracking. However, you connect to a Wi-Fi in a restaurant. Then the network operator can track, okay, which network are you currently, connected to. So it can, through the IP address, you can determine the location of a person. Also, current Wi-Fi, like which networks are nearby, you can sense. You can have an idea, okay, these networks, and like this is the IP addresses, so you can track. It is also invasive, but lesser invasive than GPS, because it's not that precise, okay. So it's not that precise. It can still reveal the user's location, especially in urban areas where Wi-Fi are densely distributed. So if it is accessed without permission, then it can, uh, you know infringe on privacy. Then camera is highly invasive because it is literally capturing your information. Currently I am, my camera is on, so it's capturing all of my, like, my uh, facial features, my room, my background, whatever I have in my background. You can literally know a lot of things about me, and next time you will see it, you will recognize me. You knowing how I look like, everything, you're getting, faces, surroundings, and activities, what am I doing currently. So it can compromise privacy and security. This is just a webcam, but if you talk about CCTVs, of course CCTVs can capture without you even knowing sometimes, so that is also very invasive. Invasive means that we can reveal the, either the location or your identity, or something that is very personal to you, okay, and we don't want that information to be revealed, to some unknown person without our consent, right? Then there comes Bluetooth. Bluetooth enables short range wireless communication between the devices. It can be used for tasks. We know what Bluetooth is for. Now, it can reveal the nearby devices and potentially the user's habit or social interactions. It's not as precise as GPS. Some environment, some insights we can get. So it's moderately or less invasive in that sense. Then comes the screen touch. So, like devices touch screen, including taps, swipes, and gestures. So there might be some patterns associated with, like, how you type. Suppose I literally, this is true, that I have a bad habit. Whenever I'm typing on my laptop, I usually, whenever I have to go to the uppercase, so I have to type something capital A and small n and D. So like something like this, what I end up doing is, before I turn off the caps lock, I like type the second one and then do this. So every time I have to go back and then correct it. So what does it reveal about me? If you know that, okay, this is something that is very specific to me, the next time I you see a text, typed in that manner, and suppose you find a word typed like this, maybe you can, of course, uh, reveal that, okay, this might be Akanksha. So you can know about the patterns of a person, or and you can guess their habits, their typing, their typing habits, etc. So the way this touch their screen, like some kids, they have this habit of doing this on their parents phone. So they have this pattern. So yeah, that can also reveal your personal information, but it's very, like, specific, very less invasive. It's, if you have some data related to these patterns, you can't really determine the identity, or my location. Like, it's just a habit, and if you know that I do this kind of mistake every time, then only you can, you know um, kind of figure out that, okay, this might be a Akanksha. So like that. Okay. Then the gyroscope, it's it again, it measures the orientation and rotation. So suppose, I don't remember if, like, we tilt the screen and virtual reality experiences. Yeah, it's mostly to, it senses the, like, gravitational, where is it, and then it can sense the angle and orientation of the device. um, Also motion based controls and virtual reality experiences. So it primarily tracks the device movement and orientation, which might not again reveal the sensitive information, which might not reveal the sensitive information, which so again it's less invasive as compared to location based data. Then comes calls. Uh, they are highly invasive because if you're actually recording somebody's calls communication data, then you're literally you can't recognize me through my voice. So this is very invasive, and you can always tell that okay, this might be person XYZ who is talking in this recording. So yes, so it can reveal personal contacts, conversation topics, and behavior patterns. Accessing call data without permission can significantly infringe on privacy. So the correct answer is B. So let's see one by one. Um, First option says that accelerometer is more invasive than GPS, but this is this is okay. Let me change the color. This is location. So GPS is more invasive than Wi-Fi, which is more invasive than accelerometer. Then comes second option, which is correct because GPS is more invasive than Bluetooth, and it is more invasive than screen touch patterns. Then Wi-Fi is more invasive than gyroscope and calls. Calls is like the most invasive here. Calls, Wi-Fi, gyroscope or gyroscope, जो भी है. Okay. Then calls, battery, camera, like battery information can also be used in some cases. Um, it might be possible. It's very actually maybe some patterns can be found. Okay, how much you charge or the battery. How can you sense some personal information through battery information? Can anybody guess? Because I can't think of anything. According to me, this is like camera should be the most invasive, calls, and then battery. Absolutely. Good example. Um, your patterns like the most drainage of the battery, like it occurs usually during the night after when you come back to your home, and then you want to watch a movie, then maybe the battery drains the most. This is a regular pattern, so I can say that the person uses their device after coming back home like that. So we can of course reveal so many underlying patterns there. ठीक है? Okay. Okay. Any information can be deemed personal if enough other pertinent information is added. Is this statement true or not? So the meaning is that any kind of information, no matter how trivial that information is, if it is combined with some other information, then it can reveal some pattern. It can be specific to you, or it can be a personal information. Harshita is saying true. Okay, let's see. So pertinent literally it means that data or details that are relevant or significant in the context, basically the complementary information you can say. Um, okay, personal information is subjective and context dependent. We all know that. Something that is personal to me might not be personal to you, right? Why? certain pieces of information may not seem personal on their own, they can become personally identifiable when combined with other relevant data, which means that, okay, we'll see an example. So, this concept is called the mosaic effect, where seemingly um, normal data points can be pieced together to reveal sensitive or private information about an individual. So, um, okay, let's see an example. I think, yeah. For example, someone is posting some picture in front of their house um, on the social media, then the photo might not contain any explicit personal information, but when combined with other pieces, for example, there in another post which is similar background and there's location data, so I can combine the, okay, out of these houses, this is particular house belongs to that person and the area is that locality, so I guess two things about that person. Okay, then you know the person's name because you're looking at the profile. Hometown, you got to know frequent locations. Suppose I am from Chandigarh and I go to visit lake a number of times. So you can say that, okay, on my profile there are a lot of pictures of Sukna Lake. So she might live there. So you figured out that I live in Chandigarh. Maybe like that. Some pattern you found. Then and daily routine. Suppose you unknowingly share that you post around 6 p.m. every day, so the pattern can be revealed that, okay, this is the, maybe you post a story of you going out in a gym, or people are very fond of, like, they post Snapchat stories of them driving, and then some music is playing and they are showing the path. So if you are posting it regularly, then I can figure out where you live, where you go at 6 p.m. in the evening every day. So this becomes more personal, although you're not revealing anything explicitly, but I could sense. So we are putting the pieces together, connecting the dots. That's what it means. Um, this profile could include their address, work schedule, favorite places to visit, and much more. So, what initially seemed like an innocent like photo becomes a larger mosaic of personal information, which could potentially be used for malicious purposes. Somebody can stalk them, or maybe they use their identity. Um, Maybe I can go to the same place and maybe I can post some snapshots without revealing my face and then make a new profile by their name and post the same locations where the person XYZ usually goes to. Then maybe their own friends will think that, okay, this is a legitimate profile, but that is a fake profile. So you get the point that privacy risk is there. So we have to be very careful about that. That's why it is said that don't post everything on social media, because um, if I can figure out so many things, then the criminal mind would be, it would be very easy for them to figure out stuff. So yeah, the this is true. Okay, what method from the list below is used in neuromarketing research? DMRI, EGG, fMRI, ECB. These are previous year questions, by the way. Up to question number 10, it will be previous years. Would you like to answer? Anyone? Guess? fMRI. Okay. So, firstly, let's talk about what neuromarketing research does. It's a important application of affective computing, human-computer interaction. etc. So neuromarketing, what is neuro and marketing? So marketing, we all know that advertising and vagara vagara. Neuromarketing means we are combining technology to sense what kind of product the audience is liking, or what are their preferences, or what they don't like. Okay, so we is a field that applies principles and technologies techniques from neuroscience to understand consumer behavior and decision making processes, and it involves neuroscientific tools and methods such as brain imaging, fMRI, EEG, biometric skin conductance, and eye tracking to study how consumers respond to marketing stimuli, advertisements, product packaging, pricing strategies, and so what it essentially means is that okay, we have two strategies. What earlier we used to do is, for example, I remember if you are okay, there is one soup company. They just started back then, a few years ago. So they used to put stalls everywhere and then serve the soup and then ask the user that how do you like this soup? Please give us feedback. So there were little samplers. Then the customers provided the feedback, and then that's how they tried to improve. This is some kind of marketing research going on, like how the product is working or not. But what you can do is, suppose this is not a soup, this is something like a packaging. So one method like that is, suppose there is a soap and there is a packaging for that soap. So you're liking, okay, which packaging do you like the most? Now there is packaging A, packaging B. You present both packaging to some audience, some people out there. You just go outside a shop and stand there and ask people, oh, do you prefer this one or this one? Now based on the feedback, you can put more efforts in the designing or whatever the feedback is. Another method is, if you use some kind of um, physiological signals or brain imaging. So why are we using this brain imaging, etc., for this? It's because um, so looking at something will induce some kind of emotion in me, or some kind of reaction. For example, there is a very beautiful packaging which has beautiful flowers on it and butterflies. It will be very pleasant to look at, and maybe my favorite color. Then I'll look at it and I will feel good. So my brain will respond like in a very relaxing state, or calm, or even happy state, right? But suppose there's a packaging that I don't like, so I'll look at it and I will react differently. So based on my brain activity, they can sense that, okay, looking at packaging one, the users tend to behave like this, and you like packaging B, the users tend to behave like this. So they can differentiate which product to release in the market. So that's how the neuromarketing works. Uh, so it is the goal is to uncover subconscious or implicit responses by that the traditional marketing methods may not capture effectively, because there are many downsides of asking people. If you ask me about your product, I might not give you the correct, absolute correct, or brutally honest feedback. I'll say, yeah, it's nice, but maybe one change I can say that you have to make, but then I won't be very honest, just to you know not offend anyone or something. So there are biases, there are so many different um, challenges associated with that. Okay, so what we can do is neural activity and physiological responses. We can gain insights how what the customer wants, वगैरह. Then we can improve the product design. We can optimize our marketing strategies and enhance the overall brand communication. So, but there are some uh, ethical considerations also. So you should take care about that: privacy, consent, data usage, etc. So there are few methods which are used. First one is, like, the option is DMRI, which is diffusion magnetic resonance imaging. It is usually studied to This is used to study the diffusion of water molecules, and it's not used for neuromarketing research. EGG is gastrography, so stomach hai, so they not typically use that. Then comes the fMRI, which is widely used in the neuromarketing. It measures the brain activity by detecting changes in blood flow. So yeah, this one is correct. This one is correct. And then there comes ECV, which is extracellular recording and brain stimulation. Um, Used but not that popular as fMRI, but not specifically associated with neuromarketing. It's associated mostly with neuroscience research. Okay, this is how the fMRI looks like. So we can figure out some patterns. Like, okay, these portions of the brain are activated if you feel happy, and suppose some other portions get activated when you feel sad. So after looking at a product, if you're feeling happy, then it is indicating positive response. So positive response means that the product is working and it will be accepted. So fMRI is the correct answer. Okay, next question. Which of the following ethical factors should be taken into account when adopting AI? Data privacy, algorithmic fairness and biases, informed consent to data use. A, B, and C. Okay, Rishabh is saying 4. Harshita, Rajat, Harshit, would you like to answer? Pretty simple question. Okay, okay, yeah. So let's talk about the data privacy first. In context of effective computing, this data privacy refers to the protection of individuals' personal information and sensitive data collected by affect sensing systems. Okay, so again, for example, for any study, you're capturing my facial data like a webcam recording or something of my face, then you must keep that data safe. Um, Suppose there is some application like a mental health application where there is a bot or there is a avatar which is interacting with you. So we discussed in the I think last to last or last lecture itself that uh, there are applications regarding the mental health. There are applications of this affective computing. So what happens is that suppose a person is not comfortable to talk to a counselor directly, then that that person can interact with the avatar and then talk it out whatever they feel, and it will help a number of people who are afraid to go to a counselor, see a counselor. So what happens is that if I use that application and somehow that data is leaked outside, it I won't feel good about that. Like people are knowing that I have some mental health problem, or my it's my personal data, and also the normal medical data. Suppose how much time do I spend on screen. That is something very trivial, very not important, but suppose my preference is that I don't like to tell people. So a lot of consideration should be put to make sure that the data that the applications are collecting or the agents are collecting, they're not sending it anywhere. Another example can be Alexa. Suppose Alexa is there in your home, it's placed in a corner, then you say, "Hey Alexa," it gets activated. But if you think about it, it's constantly listening to you. If the keyword comes only then it gets activated, but it's kind of passively listening to your all of your conversations. And suppose it's recording somehow, it's unethical, but it's recording, and then it's um, sending it somewhere, and maybe somebody can misuse that data against you, that oh, you said these things. So this is very important that we make sure that our privacy is taken care of, and the data is which is collected and stored securely, processed transparently, and used only for the intended purposes. ठीक है? Now, measures such as encryption, access control, and anonymization techniques may be employed to safeguard users' privacy. Encryption means that it is we are using some kind of an algorithm which converts one form of text to some symbolic form which is not understandable by like layman. So you need to know the key by which otherwise it's gibberish for you. So you can encrypt. Access control means not everybody in the company should have the access to all of the database. Only a few like designated people should have the control. Anonymization, what it means is that suppose you really require to analyze. Now that you're collecting the mental health data, you want to improve your model. You, if you want to improve your model, you have to use the data. But somehow, can you remove the name of the person? If you remove the name of the person, might be suitable for your application. But suppose um, you need to you need to find that okay, in men and women there must be separate patterns observed. So how will you go back to that information now that you've removed everything personal to that? So these considerations are always we have to figure out the good anonymization techniques so that this issue doesn't arise, like privacy is preserved. Then comes the algorithmic fairness and biases. What it essentially means is that ethical and unbiased. Okay, fairness means ethical and unbiased treatment of individual by AI system, including affect sensing algorithms. Now, biases. How can biases arise? Can be due to many factors such as biased training data, algorithm design choices, or societal prejudice. Um, Biased training data. Suppose you are have you heard about this Google Gemini thing? What happened? If you search for, like, give me a picture of Pope, then it gives you Pope's picture, but it's a black person. If you say that give me a picture of white person, then it refuses. It doesn't produce picture of white people, white skin tone, because somehow the data that has been trained on, it's kind of biased. Maybe it went through some news articles where the Black Lives Matter movement was going on, and now what happens is that it has only focused on that part, and because the motive was to gain equality, but now it has ignored the equality part and it has just focused on the black people instead of white. So it's a in implication of the bias thing here. Then we want to make sure that our models and our effective systems are not biased, and we want to prevent any kind of discrimination or unfair treatment based on factors like race, gender, or age. Okay. Then informed consent to data use. Informed consent means that suppose you are conducting an experiment, and you want to collect my um, medical data somehow, and then you're saying that okay, um, okay, Akanksha, I need you to participate in this particular experiment, and I will make sure that this data is not being used anywhere else. I will just want to analyze the patterns found in this disease. I just want your medical data, and I won't share the other details or even this. information with anyone else, and this will only be used for conducting this particular disease, like this intended experiment only, not for anything else. So if the person is making sure and giving me assurance that okay, your data is safe with me and you can trust me, then of course I will be happy to participate. But somehow if I'm not convinced that my data is safe, then it will be very difficult. So what informed consent does is, it's principle that individuals should have a clear understanding of how their data will be collected, processed, and used before providing consent. In the context of effective computing, users should be informed about the types of data being collected. Okay, what modalities are you going to capture? Currently, if I'm like you're recording my webcam, are you also recording the audio, or you just need the expression part? So you should mention each and everything, the purpose of the the processing. Why do you want? Because I want to analyze the emotions using facial expressions, and any potential risks or implications of data sharing, like there are so many websites that allow maybe us to track something, and you give I give my consent and I have read all the terms and conditions, and I know that if something like this happens I am responsible. It's like that. uh, we are informed about whatever bad things can also happen. So they also state that okay, we won't be responsible for any this thing, but at least they're informing us in advance, right? So all of the three are important. So which of the following is not a potential ethical consideration that need not be addressed? Which is not an ethical consideration? um, Potential ethical, you know. Okay, Harshita is saying C. Rishabh says none of the above. Okay. So the first is emotional manipulation. Okay, what is it? What it means is that these affective systems, um, which unintentionally, not unintentionally, actually it's intentional because it's manipulation. They're intentionally influencing or manipulating users' emotions for specific purposes, such as marketing, political persuasion, or behavioral modification. Um, Suppose you were watching a video, and then there's some effective system which is recognizing that this kind of person becomes very emotional when you watch these kind of videos. For example, there is a family video and I get very emotional looking at it, and there is an affective system which is sensing this. Now, uh, suppose there is elections coming and party ABC and DEF, there are two parties, party 1 and party 2. So what it can do is use that effective system and extract the patterns. What is the most kind of what are the videos that can induce some kind of emotional aspect in the viewers. So if you know that uh, designing this kind of manifesto advertisement, it will be, if the users will relate to it and they will become emotional, and then that can help us to get more votes. Then they are using my, and they're showing me those kind of videos. Now unknowingly I am becoming prey to their strategies, which was able they were able to perform because of the affective system that they kind of observe the patterns. And it it is happening without my consent. I'm not, you know, giving any kind of consent to um, use my data for these kind of purposes. And so these ethical issues arise when our emotions are exploited or manipulated without our awareness and consent. Example, the platform then tailors users' news feeds to show them content that elicits strong emotional reactions such as outrage or excitement with the intention of increasing engagement and time spent on the platform. So, this manipulation raises again ethical concerns because suppose this platform, its responsibility is users well-being, but then it's showing you content which is making you more aggressive and aggressive. So it is just looking at their own engagement rather than the user well-being, because ultimately if you feel frustrated, and it's going to have some kind of impact on your this health as well, like mental health, of course. Then there comes privacy. We have already discussed like what privacy is. Uh, it revolves around the collection, storage, and use of sensitive personal data such as emotional states, facial expression, or speech patterns. It is essential to ensure that users' privacy rights are respected and appropriate measures are taken to protect the data from unauthorized access, misuse, or disclosure. So, example, a wearable device equipped with effective computing sensors such as heart rate monitors and facial expression trackers collects continuous data about users' emotional state throughout the day. Now the data is transmitted to a cloud server for analysis and storage. But without privacy protections, there is a risk that some third party can, like some intruder can come, and then they can steal the data or access or intercept the data in between, and then it might go to some third party which is unauthorized for that, and it leads to breaches of user privacy and potential misuse. So there is one website also which, if you type your email address there, it shows how many times your data was breached. I don't remember the exact website, but there was one thing. If because what these company, every time you sign up somewhere, you create an account on a shopping website or something. They have your phone number, your address, your um, name, your maybe your locality, everything they have, your purchase patterns. Suppose one person is willing to spend such huge amount of money on makeup products, then there is another company for suppose similar category hair care, then they can target that person based on the data, that okay, this person buys expensive stuff, we should show the advertisement of expensive stuff, so there's a high chance that this person will buy. So that's how manipulation occurs, that's how the breach of privacy, because you signed up at this website only, not at the haircut website, but this somehow the data is sold for, like the data is the new gold, it's said that. uh, Okay, then there comes emotional dependency. It's a concern actually, Harshita. Emotional dependency, what it means is that risk of users becoming dependent. We also discussed this in the last lecture where we were discussing about this affective agents. For example, some companion robo or something related to the mental health platforms where you can go and vent, and literally they can counsel you like that. They have been trained, or auto tutor. Okay, and example, um, a mental health chatbot. So what essentially emotional dependency means, suppose I'm suffering from a mental health problem, and then I don't go to a counselor, and I only prefer to talk to a virtual agent or virtual therapist, you can say. Then the every time something bad happens, I come here, went here, I feel good, and then I leave. Next time something bad happens to me, then I again come here, talk to the agent, and then I feel better and I go. Now what happens is that suppose that app is not working someday. I am feeling really frustrated. Instead of going and talking to my friends, I'm coming here and talking to a machine, which is impacting my social life, which is impacting my um, life, as in I'm not engaging with my family, my friends anymore, and I'm engaging with the machine. And I don't know how to deal with my stress. um, because I always, what I did is I came to the machine, I talked to that agent, and then I felt good. But without the agent, I don't know how to live anymore. So this is something very dangerous, because आदत पड़ जाती है, and we don't want to, you know, create that, form that habit. So it's like overly, you're becoming overly reliant or dependent on effective computing systems for emotional support, social interaction, or decision making. Every time you want, okay, where should I invest my money, in which stock, or mutual funds. So this machine will suggest you something, that agent will suggest you something. Then you, next time also you ask that machine, but next time you have money, suppose the agent is not there, how will you know where to invest? You don't use your own brain. You're just too dependent on whatever it says. Same goes for chat gpt. You're asking them questions, one day chat gpt does not work, my work is not, like, I'm not showing any kind of progress. Why? Because I became so much dependent on chat gpt. That is so wrong. So yeah, this is the emotional dependency. So instead of promoting, like assisting, it is actually making you addict. So it's excessive reliance. uh, so okay, mental health chatbot uses effective computing to provide emotional support and counseling. While the chatbot's empathetic responses and round-the-clock availability offer immediate comfort to users in distress, there is a risk of users developing an unhealthy emotional dependency on the chatbot. ठीक है? So we won't even talk to our friends, family, or mental health professionals for that matter, and then we are just being dependent on the machine. So emotional manipulation is there, privacy is there, and emotional dependency is also there. So none of the above is the answer. Okay, next question. Users must express their opinions about the products through focus groups and surveys during beta testing, which might be hampered by problems like participant bias, recall bias, etc. True or false? True. Harshita says true. Okay. So beta testing is, we are aware that it's a phase of the software development or even the product refinement where there is a pre-release version, and we are just testing it out, like um, how do people respond while looking at our product, or like before actual releasing the data in the or the product into the market. So it is called the beta version and made to available to a selective group of external users for testing in the real world environments. Now the purpose is to gather feedback, so we can get user feedback, validation of effective capabilities. Okay, whatever we have designed it for, it is fulfilling that. Identifying usability issues. If there is some UI UX problem, then you can figure it out and make it better. Then enhancing user engagement, how can we make it better, how can it we make it, suppose a person says your product is really good, like on shark tank you must have seen, your product is really good but then you need to change the packaging. So that is one feedback that we are getting, and this is before the release of the actual product, so that we can mend our mistakes at the early stage itself. So, what are these potential biases during beta testing? Um, this there are two kind of bias mentioned, like participant bias and recall bias. So firstly, participant bias, what it means is that suppose um, I am conducting a survey that um, people like a product or not. For example, there is a soap only. For example, let's say Dove. So people like Dove or not. And I am doing a survey. I'm conducting a survey, and I'm asking, suppose, 1,000 people. So out of these 1,000 people, I am asking around 900 are male and 100 people are female. Um, so the the results can be biased because the the person that people that I'm asking the reviews from, they don't represent the actual population. Population means the target audience. For example, my target audience is women, mostly women like use Dove. It's very cute and all like that. So usually there's no point asking men from about like their reviews about this product, which is mostly designed for women. So you get the point that if we are asking the wrong guys, we're asking the wrong people that do you like our even if they like our product, and maybe women don't like that product much because women can understand their problems, or it's not about just the soap, maybe some product which is specifically designed for women, and we are conducting a survey with on women only, but then we're taking only the age bracket of teenagers, but the product can also be used by elderly women. So we're not asking the elderly women. Now the elderly women will say that okay, I don't like this product, so the product won't sell that much. Then you will keep figuring out where did I go wrong, because initially you did not consider that the sample you are considering, they don't represent the whole population or the target audience. So, let's read this out that the participants in the study or test group are not the representative of the broader population or user base for whom the product is intended. Participant, it can arise due to different factors like demographic skew, age, gender, socio-economic status, or self-selection bias, uh, where participants volunteer for the study based on their own motivations. Then, for example, a new mobile app is designed for older adults to improve digital literacy. If the beta testers are predominantly young adults who are tech savvy, because I can run a complex app as well, but my mom, she won't be able to because she's not that familiar to these things. They need some time to adapt. So if I want to know how easy to use the app is, then maybe they should not um, ask us, but they should ask some elderly people. Then there comes recall bias. Recall bias means that the participants in a study inaccurately remember past events or experiences, leading to skewed or unreliable feedback. Suppose you're conducting an experiment today, and I like that product, and I have so many things to share that okay, I don't like this specific comma here, or the packaging there is some different color here. I don't like it, and after 1 week or 1 month you are asking, okay, we conducted a survey just 1 week ago, and then we would like to hear from you what was your feedback of the session. Now time has passed and I have forgotten about the details, what that color was with that which I did not like. So um, there are a lot of things that I could remember if you had you asked me at that moment or even the very next day, I would have remembered things, but now I don't remember things. So whenever you will ask, I will say, okay, yeah, I liked it. But there was some issue which needed to be resolved. Now it won't be resolved because my feedback is positive only. I did not add that specific comment. So this leads to wrong product design, or like false, like you can say uh, false sense of um, being the like perfect. So because you will see that, oh, everybody is liking it, everybody says there is no requirement of improvement. I liked it, I liked it, I liked it. Nobody's giving any comments. So you might be thinking that, okay, my product is like very nice. I don't need to make changes, and then you release the product in the market and it does not sell. And then you will think. So, in a post beta testing survey, participants are asked to recall specific issues that they encountered while using the product. However, participants may struggle to accurately remember details or may unintentionally exaggerate or downplay their experiences, leading to recall bias. For instance, a participant might forgive or forget minor usability issues or this attribute problems they face to the wrong feature. So I might forget about that, and I could now I won't report it because I don't remember it. This is called the recall bias. So this is true that users must express their opinions through focus groups and surveys during beta testing, which might be hampered. So yeah. Okay, next question. It will be a good idea to enable affective skills in all kinds of machines. True or false? False. Let's see why.
False.
Yes, yes. Okay. Ethical implications. So, if you think about it, like everything is smart, everything is emotional, it will be too overwhelming, and sometimes some things don't even require that emotional aspect. You see how much complexity will increase, how computationally expensive everything will be, and how um, unnecessarily complicated everything will be. So if I can work with a simple kettle, why should I go for an emotionally intelligent kettle that could sense? There's no point. So we don't need everything to be smart, everything to be emotionally aware. So let's see these ethical implications. Firstly, is privacy and consent. If everything is sensing you around you, there is no privacy. There is no privacy. Uh, there is no consent as well. Like you're just going and you're passing in a hallway, and then everything senses you without your consent, which is not desirable. Machines that sense and respond to human emotions may intrude on individuals, collecting sensitive emotional data without their explicit consent. Okay, and then emotional manipulation. There is always a risk of emotional manipulation if machines use affective skills to influence or exploit users' emotions for commercial or persuasive purposes without their awareness or consent. Again, emotional manipulation. Then comes the fairness and bias. Um, Affective system usually are, they suffer from biases and stereotypes they can do if they're not designed properly, and it can be offensive for some people. And then the next one is transparency and accountability. Ensuring transparency and accountability. I mean, if something goes wrong, then who would be responsible? Who would be held accountable for that? So yeah, there are so many concerns that we need to address there. It's making our life more complex. Then there are some societal implications. Uh, it can also influence human relationships and social dynamics by mediating emotional interactions within individuals. Suppose I'm not even interacting with directly with my friend, my bottle is interacting first, and then like there's a barrier in between direct communication. Everything is smart, they will do everything according to themselves, but we don't require that. So human and human machine relationships will be altered. Then comes the cultural and social norms. They reflect and reinforce cultural and social norms related to emotions, which can have implications on social cohesion, inclusivity, and diversity. These are like bias related issues. Then economic and labor market effects. um, may have economic implications as well, changes in markets, job displacement, shifts in behavior, or even what else can be there in this? Uh, I just thought of one, I forgot. Okay, regulatory and policy considerations. This is a must because we don't know how to regulate things, and if it is out of control, nobody can be held responsible. Who would be held responsible? Maybe the makers will say we're not responsible after the product is delivered. So what will you do then? So any issues, there must be some support related to that. Practical implications, there are practical implications which include reliability and accuracy. So if just in case the machines are very smart, then we also uh, it is desirable, it is highly desirable that we make those machines more accurate and reliable. So these challenges arise in achieving consistent performance across diverse contexts, users and cultural backgrounds. Then integration and user experience. Okay, integration and user experience. How will you integrate different things, different smart things? How will you integrate? Suppose one is using one modality, other one is using other modality, or maybe they're using same modality but then producing different results because they have been trained like that. How will you integrate those all of those machines to create a seamless environment? That is a challenge. Then there are technical challenges, data collection, signal processing. If everything is smart and intelligent, then the data that is being collected would explode. So that is a challenge. So it's not a good idea to make every machine effective, capable, or maybe smart in that sense. So this is next question. Which of the following sensing strategies is written wrongly? This is which is the wrong one? The privacy invasiveness. Okay, Rishabh is saying C. So microphone means sound, right? So sound is more microphone, Wi-Fi, and accelerometer. Microphone is the most invasive. Then comes the Wi-Fi because it can capture the location up to some extent. Then comes the accelerometer. So this is correct. We need to find out the wrong one. Then comes GPS, GPS, Bluetooth, and screen touch. So out of these three, yeah. So GPS is the highly, you know, it can reveal our location. So GPS is more invasive. Then Bluetooth will be less than GPS. Then screen touch. This should be, calls are the most, then Wi-Fi because location data, then gyroscope because it just gives the orientation. Then calls, then calls is like direct you're recording. Then apps, what what apps do you use? What app data? Is like suppose app data is leaking somewhere. That is also that can track. Then apps, then gyroscope. So C is the right option. Okay. Targeted advertising will enhance the user experience but with cost to user privacy vulnerability.
True.
True. Let's see how. So, if you know about targeting advertising, what it means is that it is more of a personalized advertising. Okay, you're showing the ads to your specific target audience. Target audience means the audience, the people that will actually use your product. Sorry. Example, suppose there are cartoon videos on YouTube. You can see Coco Melon videos going on. Every kid is like watching Coco Melon all the time. But then no adult will watch that. But if suppose you have the data of parents of newly born children, recently born, you can show these ads to the like uh, new parents. So there is a high chance that they will look, they will open the video, they will play it. So what happens is that now you targeted those audience. If the ad is shown to me, I won't ever open it. I'll just say that, oh, this is not meant for me. So this is what targeted advertisement means. Personalized advertising or interest-based advertising, which is a form which utilizes data about individuals to deliver more relevant ads to them. Also, suppose Amazon, I buy something, buy a shirt from Amazon. Now the next time it will show me matching trousers or another shirts. So what happens is that according to my past patterns, shopping patterns, it will recommend me things. that is that is how like targeting. Suppose I am buying, there is a habit that I buy uh, some detergent every month. Now what this Amazon can do is that some related product it can show, that maybe a soap or maybe uh, washing machine cleaner. It is very likely that, oh, if I am looking for a detergent, I'll add it to my cart, and then if I see that, oh, there is a washing machine cleaning some powder, then I will, of course, I will add on that product. It's very likely. So it will show this ad to me. But suppose Rishabh wants to buy some cricket bat or badminton racket, then it will show the this whatever. Suppose it's cricket bat, then there must be some cricket like ball, so it will also show you a ball. It will recommend, so it's highly likely that Rishabh might also buy that. So that's how this targeted advertising works. It aims to tailor ads to specific users based on their interest, demographics, online behavior, and other factors. Now, there are some certain steps in this targeted advertising, like data collection. First of all, how do we collect the data? Using cookies, mobile apps, social media platform, and third party data brokers. Um, this data broker means they have the data and they sell it. Then, including browsing history, search queries, local location information, demographic details, etc. Then becomes the task of then comes profiling and segmentation. This user profile contain information about individual users such as their interests, preferences, or behavior patterns. Suppose Netflix, you have different profiles. Your mom watches something else, your dad watches news, then your sister watches something else, K dramas, and then you're a fan of anime. So whenever you'll click at your profile, it will recommend you anime. Whenever you will click at your sister's profile, more K dramas, because on the past data that they observe that you are fond of those kind of this kind of content. So it will just kind of create those profiles. Then advertisement targeting, like I mentioned already. um, Ad delivery, um, okay, including websites, mobile apps, social media platforms. The goal is to present users with ads that are more likely to resonate with them based on their interest and preferences. Then measurements and optimization. like how much the ad is doing well, like click through rates, conversions, return ROI, etc. So this is a yeah, but the thing is that for this targeted advertising, you need more data to know about the preferences. You would require more data. But then, if you are capturing data in such a way that you're capturing more data than you require or more data than you asked for, then there comes privacy concerns because the user is not aware that you're also capturing the sound along with the webcam. So although it will help you enhance the user experience in future, but then for now you're capturing the data uh, in a like non, what do we call it, in a more intrusive way or unethical way. Okay. What ethical consideration arises regarding the storage of emotional state data? Okay. All. Rishabh says D, Niva ma'am says D. Okay, let's see. So ethical concerns, these three are correct. Firstly is ensuring data encryption on the device. Yeah. So this involves encrypting the emotional state data to protect from the unauthorized access. Encryption ensures that even the device is lost, stolen or accessed by unauthorized parties, they're not able to read it or infer from that raw data. They can't decipher it. By encrypting emotional state data, developers and organizations demonstrate their commitment to protecting user privacy and confidentiality. Okay. Then comes limiting access to emotional state data by external entities. Uh, this is ethical consideration involves restricting access to emotional data to only authorized individuals or entities, then such as third-party apps, advertisers, or data brokers should not have unrestricted access to. Suppose there is a data set or medical data set, then it should not be like put live on a website where I can also access it because it is very sensitive. We need to keep the access to certain people only, which are actually who are designated for that. So then is the defining the duration of data storage and access rights. So yeah, again, this is the same thing, like for how long the data will be stored and how who will be able to access and how much access uh, you can you can have over the data. Include specifying retention periods, data deletion policies, user control over the data. Users should have the right to request deletion of their emotional state data once it is no longer needed for its intended purpose. ऐसा नहीं है कि you just uh, there's a data set that includes your information and then the intended purpose was done and then this data is stored somewhere. If you if you want the data to be deleted, then you should have that right. So all of these are correct. What is the most crucial aspect related to affect sensing? User engagement, maintaining the privacy, designing visually appealing interfaces, ensuring compatibility with different devices. B. Okay. A or B. When we talk about crucial, Rishabh, then we have to consider the most crucial. Like if there are multiple options which are seeming right, we need to find out the most relevant one. So here we would go with the privacy aspect because it has concerns related to it. Even if the even if the engagement is a little less, but then if there's privacy breach, nobody's going to use it. So more crucial is the privacy concerns. Okay, so privacy is a crucial aspect. While user engagement also important, visually appealing designs are also important, and compatibility also. But then it takes precedence over due to several reasons. Firstly, we have sensitivity related to this emotional data. Uh, it can reflect individuals' inner states, mood, even psychological patterns. Like some people might be suffering from some mental disorders as well. So if you have that data, you can figure it out. But then you don't want that to happen. Then becomes ethical responsibility. Developers and organizations, they do have some ethical responsibility. They should protect our data, and they shouldn't allow this misuse, exploitation, or harm. um, then trust and user confidence, because if an application is telling me that, oh, you should be relaxed, you should relax because your data is going nowhere. For example, there was this thing happening like WhatsApp versus Telegram. There's encryption was there in Telegram, while the WhatsApp messages, they were saying that it's not encrypted. So everybody kind of shifted to Telegram at some point. But then that is why did that happen? Because it was able to build that trust that, okay, if they are chatting on, or if you are having communication over Telegram, then it will be encrypted, nobody can read your conversations. But WhatsApp were, they were leaking somehow. um, so it was considered more safe. Then building trust and user confidence is exactly this. uh, so we if I find an application more trustworthy, I will definitely go back and use that again and again. So it is important to foster long-term relationships between user and technology, promoting adoption and ensuring continued usage. Then comes the legal and regulatory compliance. Of course, there are some regulations and standards that everybody needs to follow and adhere to. This is essential to avoid legal repercussions and penalties, because like failure to protect users' emotion data can result in breaches of privacy laws, leading to financial liability and reputational damage for organizations. Then user control and autonomy. uh, User should have more power over their data, because if I don't want my data to suppose person B, I don't want my Rishabh to know my data, then i I should have that control. Then I will say, I don't want my data to you shouldn't share with Harshita, because I am not comfortable. So I should have the whole power. So the most crucial becomes privacy. Okay, next question is, what trade-off do app designers face regarding affect sensing methods? User engagement with privacy concerns, data security or functionality, choosing between accuracy and privacy preservation, enhancing emotional detection capabilities at the expense of user trust. Okay, Harshita is saying D, Rishabh is saying A. Anybody else would like to answer? Make a guess. Neva ma'am is saying C. Okay, let's check this out. So the trade-off is between accuracy and privacy because so is the dilemma that app designers face while implementing effort sensing methods. On one hand, we aim for high accuracy in detecting users' emotional states to ensure the effectiveness of their applications. Then we have to employ some sophisticated algorithm and data collection techniques to precisely interpret user emotions. However, this comes at the expense of user privacy to achieve. Um, for example, again, if we talk about this visual modality and audio modality, suppose there is an app or a virtual avatar which is talking to me, and suppose it just uses my facial expressions to guess that I am feeling sad. But then it might be possible that I'm just tired, or I'm just not sad and I'm happy, but I'm just not showing it, or it can be anything. So, uh, if I talk about, suppose I'm talking very nicely, and by my like voice, you can guess that I am doing fine. Or suppose we take the inverse case, I'm smiling, but my voice is very tired right now. So if you just look at my face, then you will see, oh, she is happy, she is doing fine. But then if you also check my voice or my sound, you analyze the sound module as well, not module. Uh, what do we call modality? Sorry, my bad. So if you check the sound modality as well, then it will be more evident that I'm not feeling that good today. So that is something, but you are collecting more data. You have to take care of that data as well. Then there there comes, so suppose if you're not using that data, then accuracy might drop. But if you're using, then you have to make sure that the privacy is preserved. Um, Other data can be like biometric information, facial expressions, voice recording. So we need more detailed information. If we have more detailed information, then it's of course it's going to increase the accuracy. Then this raises concerns about, so one another way to think about it is that suppose I just say the broad information I am giving, that oh, I feel happy, or Akanksha felt happy during this day. But what if the developer is using my data from like every minute they are monitoring me. So it is, the data is going to help us a lot, but then it is going to increase the accuracy. But where's my privacy? So my privacy is being breached. Or of course breach means that you're not like giving me proper information about the what kind of information you're gathering. So if it is that, we need to have a trade off there. Okay. Also, we must preserve privacy while implementing affect sensing method. Same thing. Data encryption should be there, anonymization should be there, and user consent mechanisms. So, same thing that I already discussed. Like, suppose I have some, um, I want to make accurate predictions about if the people out there they like Dove or not. But then, suppose it's only yes, 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 I like it, and no, 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 I don't like the soap. Then, then you might think, okay, so many yeses there, I like it, and like people have marked it, I like it. Then you might think that the product is nice, but then you in like while anonymization, while making it anonymous, You removed the name, you removed the gender information, you lost information. Now you will make inaccurate predictions about it. So the privacy is preserved, but the accuracy drops. So that is where the trade-off comes in. We need to take care of this trade-off, and we need to find a balance. So C is correct. So user engagement with privacy concerns, um, engagement we can increase. There is no trade-off as such. Um, you can show more informative content or you can make it more creative, but it's not hurting the privacy, right? Then prioritizing data security over functionality. It's security and functionality can also go hand in hand, right? Um, if there are three features, if there are four features, and if I'm using encryption or not, that's there are two separate things, so they can go hand in hand. And then the last option is emotion detection capabilities at the expense of user trust. This accuracy increasing on the like trust, it's not that um, directly related somehow. So yeah, the correct answer is C. Then which of the following is correct about lack of diversity? Lack of diversity. Okay. In the team creating effective computing systems. So is it reduced team expenditure, increased algorithm complexity, introduction of biases into the system, enhanced transparency in decision making? C. Introduction of biases. Okay. Okay. So when there's lack of diversity, it leads to, you're correct, introduction of biases into the system. So, where do these biases come from? It comes from the limited perspectives. If there are only two people in a team, then we are not considering other people's opinion, and we are just the two decision makers, and there are limited perspectives. Suppose even if we agree on something, even if we disagree on something, only two perspectives are there. If there is a third person, then we might like their idea better. So, we're not considering that. Limited perspective. A lack of diversity means the team members, if they come from similar background, experience, and viewpoints, this limited perspective can result in overlooking or underestimating the needs, preferences, and challenges of diverse user groups. Suppose there are only two men in a team where the product is designed for women. Okay, okay. So overlooking or and unrest. So I was saying that suppose we have to there are only two men who are making decisions for a product which is designed for women. So they are not able to understand our problems that we are facing. uh, they will say, oh, this thing will be solved like this, but then don't know how actually, like, we are the end users and we will be facing some problems that you, like, the men are not even aware about. So this is limited perspective. Then again, unintentional biases can be there. They don't want to harm anyone, but then we are suppose we can't be that inclusive. How would I know how what like America, a person from America would prefer their like product to look like, um, or maybe the product designed in US, would it work in Indian subcontinent or not? So somehow they are like trying their best to design a globally acceptable product, but then if you don't have enough, so if you have a team member from every country, ideally, suppose, then you would be able to design a good product, because every person would know what back there in their country people look for, and then they can contribute the idea. Same for the first point as well, limited perspectives for a limited or a lack of team diversity. But if you include more people from different ethnicities, different backgrounds, then you will be able to handle it better. Then again, unintentionally biases, uh, maybe their own biases will be there. Maybe suppose I'm more inclined towards, uh, suppose I'm designing a curriculum. I am a curriculum designer. I am designing how the students should, how the sports, art and the studies should have a split. So now I personally am biased towards art, so I will say that okay, it is very important for the students to go for co-curricular activities, so let's keep the art duration this much. We can compromise on the sports part because we can keep it short, but the study part will be there, the art part will be there, and the sports part will be there. So that is my bias, that I have designed the timetable according to that. Although I mean to do well for the students, but it is somehow introducing my own perspective, and it's reflecting in the timetable that I have designed. So again, for example, they may unconsciously favor certain emotional expression or responses based on their own cultural norms and personal beliefs. Suppose in the context of an effective system, you are designing a robo and you're cracking a joke, a controversial joke. Suppose it is acceptable in your country, but somewhere else, suppose in India, it won't be acceptable. People will find it offensive. But then you have programmed the effective robot to respond, to laugh at that joke. So when that robot will come here, if somebody cracks that joke or says something like this, the robot will laugh, but nobody is laughing around him. So that will be unintentional bias that you're introducing. Then there comes algorithmic bias. If like I'm like, okay, we have a huge team, everything is sorted, but then the data that you're training on, this your model on, is biased itself. Suppose this is a facial recognition system, and your data set is of only white people. Then comes the like medium skin tone and dark skin tone people, the facial recognition system just performs really bad, because it is not generalizing because the training data was very biased towards the white skin people. And it's not even like it's finding the other skin tones abnormal because it has not even seen it during the training process. That's what it means. So there is algorithmic bias as well. It is, if the training data used to develop these algorithms, it's not diverse or representative, then the resulting models will be biased towards certain demographic groups or cultural norms, so it can lead the inaccuracies. So to mitigate these issues, it's essential that we expand team, or even we don't want to expand it, just make sure that we should have teams which are diverse. And again, uh, effective computing systems, we should design in such a way that it should work well for needs of all users regardless of their background or identity. However, this is very difficult to achieve right now because there are so many there's so much variability. So this is C. Okay, next question is training labelers and training labelers means training the labelers and testers in the effective computing system process, sorry, system development process. What it does is adds to the unnecessary costs, make the model more explainable, adds to the diversity, avoids biases. If we train the labelers and the testers in effective computing systems, then B. Nima ma'am says B. Ajinkya is saying D. Rishabh is saying D. Krishna is saying D. So let's see what if we train the labelers and the testers, the people who are actually labeling our data sets, we can avoid the bias. We can avoid the bias because uh, what happens is that I'll use an example. It is a true story. So I one of my friends was they were conducting an experiment, and they asked like, can you do some labeling for us? So I agreed, and I started labeling. So but what happened is like I was not that trained at that point of time. uh, According to my own perception, I categorized, I marked how I feel it is, but then it was not matching with the other labelers. So that created a lot of problem because, and they had to either drop my, all that labels, and it took me so many days to do that, and it wasted so much of my time, almost like 1 week I spent, but then it was useless because I was not uh, trained on, I was not given proper instructions on how to label it. So there were inconsistencies. Now this thing uh, made me realize that if I am going to do in future, I am going to collect some data and I'm going to get it labeled, I should explain each and everything. Okay, if and else, if you see like this, then label it as this. So there should be very specific instructions. Little bit variability is definitely going to be there, but then the deviation was way too much. So that is one experience that I have, and it is very important because of my own perspective. What perspective does is, it's my own bias in my mind. I used my my own brain to just label it my way, then somebody else is using their brain to label it their way, and it's going to introduce bias. Now if we talk about this bias awareness, if we train those people in advance, then they gain awareness of potential biases, and they can recognize their own implicit biases and how these biases can impact their judgments and decisions. Then consciously mitigate biases and strive for objectivity in the tasks. Suppose I'm judging a music competition, and then I personally am a fan of ghazals and this Coke Studio, but then there is other like Bollywood songs as well. So suppose there is one good singer who is singing Bollywood song, but there is one bad singer who is singing, suppose a ghazal. So I am very biased towards that ghazal thing. I will like it more. That oh, they might not sing it that well, but I will say, oh, he sang my favorite song, so I'm going to make him win. So I'll give him more marks. This is how the bias works. This is how I'm labeling it as better singer. However, the other singer was better just because he picked up some song that I don't like personally, that does not make him a bad singer. That's that also happened actually once. This is a real experience. So this is also a case of biased labeling. So again, consistency and standardization. Again, I said like there was no consistency, and it helps to minimize the variations in annotation or feedback, reducing the risk of biased outcomes. Then diversity considerations. It also helps like the labelers to understand that there might be other outliers as well. Like it's not only the white people, it's there might be black people in the the data set as well, or the whatever the labels you need to label those their data as well. So yeah, we are mentally prepared that I'm going to see this kind of content as well. Then And suppose there is something is considered normal in one culture. Suppose I'm doing namaste. Namaste is considered polite, but somewhere else in some part of the imaginary, country, this is very offensive. So if I'm doing this, should I label it as good or bad? So I should consider the ethnicity of that person. If that person is doing this, then it means from a India, from like this is coming from an Indian, then it's good. But then you have to consider the background. If it is coming from XYZ country, then yeah, it is a bad gesture. So I should label it as bad. So this training should also be provided, and we should consider the diversity aspect as well. Then mitigating unconscious bias, like uh, double blind labeling we can use. So have you heard about this research papers? When we send these papers for reviews, when we submit it to the conference or journals, then there are reviewers, and there is something called double blind process. Like, you don't know whose paper you are reviewing as a reviewer, and as a sub like you made the submission as a student, you don't know who is reviewing. So you both don't know. It's just without the names, just the content. So that suppose I am a professor, and some paper is affiliated to my university comes, and then um, I might be biased towards that paper, that okay, I'm going to um, accept it, even if the content of the other paper was good, but it is from different university that I don't know about. I won't pay much attention. Somehow, this is unavoidable sometimes, because it is intrinsic in our mind. I don't explicitly say I will accept IIT Roper's, but there is a soft corner for my university, so maybe I will accept that paper. That's when we use these kind of methods like double blind or single blind. Single blind means that a reviewer is knowing that okay, this paper has been written by this person, and it belongs to this university as well, affiliation as well. But then you don't know who is reviewing, so that we don't influence each other. That's where this how we can mitigate this bias, double blind or single blind. Also we can like tell them about, like I am telling you about my previous experiences. So now that you will go and have some, um, next time you're going to get something labeled, you will train them properly, because you might remember that what happened with me. I spent 1 week and then the labels were dropped because of the inconsistency. Now that you will remember this thing, so kind of a case study itself. So yeah, the correct option is D. Why is transparency important in effective computing systems? To enhance user satisfaction. Niva ma'am says D. Yash is saying C. Ajinkya is saying D. Okay, I get it, Rishabh. Like you're saying C um, because transparency can be related to. Okay, Krishna is saying B. Algorithm complexity. Because okay, I get your perspective, but the correct answer is D. Let's see why. Transparency means what is happening inside and what will be happening to my data. I know about that. So I can like explain. I can explain what is happening. So this is to enhance the explainability. So what it does is that it helps to increase the understandability. Like uh, transparency, if you are giving a document like okay, this you're going to do, please I will record this facial data, then it will be used to perform my experiment on where I am working on finding relationship between these two entities, your expressions and your suppose emotion. So I'm able to understand, okay, what is happening, what is the like pipeline, and the algorithm can also be, if it is after publication, like you can tell them, okay, and you can also tell them how the system is going to work, and we can build trust and feel confident in its capabilities. Accountability, if it is more transparent, like uh, you know that where your data is going to be, and if the person who is performing the experiment, they are using it for something else, you know that it is your right that to like you have the right over your data. You can stop that person from using it somewhere else, and if the person is leaking your data somehow, you can take legal actions as well. So you're aware about your surroundings, you're aware about your rights as well. So, if errors or bias occur, transparency allow for easier identification of the root causes, facilitating corrective measures and improvement to the systems. Ethical considerations are also there. Transparency supports ethical principles such as fairness, privacy, same autonomy. By openly disclosing how effective data is collected, each and everything is listed. We we had a setup, then the person came, and then the sensors were used, and for how many time, how the duration is mentioned, like each and everything is mentioned. Then you can't question, like uh, you are safe that as a like conduct as somebody who's conducting the experiment, you have provided each and every detail. Now nobody can say that I was not aware that my this data is being captured, because you already told them, you informed them. Again, transparency also helps to mitigate the concerns related to unintended consequences or misuse. Again, user empowerment is there because user knows everything, each and everything, what is happening inside the system, how the data is being collected, everything. Then regulatory compliance is there. Many jurisdictions, they require transparency as a part of data protection and privacy regulation. Again, regulatory bodies are there. Then we must be in compliance to these regulations. So we are going to increase the explainability. User satisfaction will also be high. I get it, because if there's more trust, there is more transparency, then of course I will be more satisfied. But then the more, I would say, appropriate term is that explainability would be a better option. You can think it like that. We say that deep learning is mostly a black box because you don't know about what is happening inside this neural network, because it is like a black box. Black box means you can't see anything what is happening, right? But what if, like, there is a whole field like explainability in machine learning? Why is this giving me correct results? I don't know about that. Yeah, explainable AI, exactly. So it's, so if deep learning is a black box, then what is explainable AI? It's more of a transparent box. You can see the internal details. So transparency can be linked with the explainability in that sense. Okay. What ethical concern arises while sourcing the data from internet to train machine learning algorithms for effective computing? I'm taking my data from internet. Suppose image data set is there, and I'm going to use some um, emotion recognition. Okay, Ajinkya says B, Nima ma'am B, Rishabh B. Exactly. This is actually the data ownership and permissions. So when we source the data from internet, one of the primary concerns is that data ownership and permissions, because sometimes we knowingly or unknowingly capture those data which are private to somebody else, and they have the whole rights, you know, and you can't use that data without permission. So the data available in on the internet belongs to various individuals, organizations, or entities. It's essential to determine who owns the data being used for training purposes. Without proper acknowledgement of ownership, there's the risk of infringing upon IP or violating terms of service agreements. For example, um, somehow when I prepare this content for this slides, I use some figures, like I used a figure here to explain the fMRI, right? But I usually, what I do is, because I can't like create my own picture, but I of course give the reference. If you see, there are mostly, like I might also forget sometimes, but mostly there are, where is that question? I don't i don't find it now. Okay, here's. So you see, I always go for this referencing thing, source. At least acknowledgement is very important. And uh, this is not just about the affective computing domain, but all of the domains. This is the basic like ethical thing. This is 17th. Huh. So even if the data is publicly available on the internet, it does not give you the right to use it, because you can't use that data to uh, like train your model. Or if there is an image available on the internet, it is freely available, like it's not something very private. But still, if I'm using it, I should give the credits at least, or specific permissions. I need to ask or mail the owner that, oh sir, I need your permission to use this figure in my slides. So may I use it? So if that person allows, then I should put it in my slides. And also some of this these data sets, etc., they have specific usage permissions or license that dictate how data can be utilized. There are some ifs and buts associated with that. So if you're not following it properly, then there are legal repercussions as well. So ethical use should be there, of course. um, we should respect the guidelines and regulations. Then again, if we follow it, by rules, we go by rules, then we minimize the risk of legal disputes or reputational damage. Suppose I'm using some content from um, I'm copying the content from somebody else and I'm not giving the credits. Yes, Krishna, the PDF will also be shared. The videos are also available on YouTube. This video I will upload by tomorrow or maximum the day after tomorrow. I'll try to upload it today only or tomorrow I will do. And this PDF I also it will be available by tomorrow evening. I think the folder has been shared with you already. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, I will share it today only. I'll try. This PDF definitely I will share. This is just one click away. I will upload. But sometimes the video takes time to process, etc. So, yeah. Okay. Uh, so again, this is same. Clear documentation helps to promote the transparency. Again, okay. So this is the major issue. Okay. According to Barrett and others, what is one major issue with using facial expressions as a window to emotion in affect sensing? It means that if we are using facial expressions for this affect sensing, emotion sensing, what is that limitation or what is that one major issue associated with that? Okay, Ajinkya is saying B. Rishabh says overgeneralization. Guys, also one request I have. I just remembered that I think there's some form that is being floated for regarding this feedback for these live sessions. So, if you really find these sessions helpful, then please do provide a feedback there, because that would also be helpful for me. I don't know, I mean, in what way, but I would encourage you to fill up the feedback form. Thanks. Okay, Niva ma'am is saying B. Okay, let's see. So, before jumping onto the slide, let's see. Let's say I'm very happy. So, how I express happiness, is it exactly the same? How maybe Yash expresses his happiness? We have different level. Like I usually smile very wide, but some people they just do little smile. So we don't have the same pattern, right? We don't have the same pattern. So can we generalize? Can we generalize, Rishabh? We can't generalize, right? So it can't be overgeneralization. So one major issue is limited reliability. We can't rely on just one modality of the spatial expressions because we can't generalize. It is actually the opposite. We can't generalize it. It is less generalizable. So, limited reliability in facial expression means that the same emotion category may not always be expressed or perceived consistently across different individuals or contexts. So, fear, I am like experiencing fear, or even if I'm sad, then I might not look like sad. But so, what happens is usually people tell me that, oh, you don't seem to be, happy today. Why? Because usually my pattern is like I'm very expressive, so people can guess. But there are some people who are sad. Even if they're sad, they just don't show. Uh, it just doesn't show on their face like they're sad. So I can't guess that the other person is sad because everybody has different style. So if you are experiencing fear, I experiencing fear and you experiencing fear will be very different. So imagine a scenario where this affective system is, you know, it just looks at your facial expressions and then tells the emotion that you're experiencing. But then it has been trained in a certain way. Like suppose the training data is very prominent, the expressions are very prominent there, like this. But then there's some person comes who is experiencing fear, but it's not like the expressions are not that prominent. How would the system would fail, right? It won't be able to generalize. Same thing that we discussed about, like bias and uh, suppose one system that is being designed for Indian context might not work well for the US, but and vice versa. So personal differences are there. Individual variations in different facial anatomy can also affect the way emotions are expressed, right? Then it is not the most reliable in like indicator of emotional states, because alone it cannot be the most reliable. Of course, if we combine more than one modalities, then it will be a good, it can produce complementary information with sound modality. So yeah, uh, so the issue is limited reliability. Okay, then what is the implication of lack of specificity in facial expressions? Lack of specificity means unique mapping between facial movements and emotion instances, consistent expression of emotions, activation of different facial muscles for different users, high reliability in interpreting emotional states. B. Lack of specificity. It's actually the opposite. It refers to absence of unique mapping between specific facial movements and so this means that different individuals may use varying combination of facial muscles to express the same. Like, okay, the specificity here means that suppose I'm telling you to describe how happy looks like. Can you describe it for like all people? We can't. Again, so much variability that smile for me is very different from smile for you. So activation of different muscles of different users illustrates the implication of lack of specificity in facial expressions. Actually, the option A, unique mapping between facial movements and emotion instances, can also be can also be. Oh, there is no unique mapping, right?
Yeah, so I mean C.
C should be the answer. Absence of unique mapping, exactly. Yeah, so should be C. Correct. Then, what is a challenge related to the generalizability of facial expressions in affect sensing? We just talked about the generalizability part. What is the challenge related to generalizability? Consistent interpretation. Yash is saying A, Ashika is saying C. Okay, Aman.
Is it? Yeah, A. Consistent interpretation. It doesn't exist, no, across cultures.
But is it a challenge? Like in that sense, if you read the rest of
What
the
is okay? What is a challenge related to generalizability? Lack of variability of emotional expressions.
we have lack of variability or huge variability.
We have huge variability, right?
Exactly. So let's discuss this one.
And extent of all the everything.
Yeah. So generalizability, while facial expressions are commonly used indicators, their interpretation can vary significantly. So we have high variability, right? Lack of variability is not a challenge. High variability is a challenge. Correct? Then this reliability again of facial, we don't have reliability, we have lack of reliability. We just saw that. Then consistent interpretation. Do we have consistent
No, no,
interpretation?
it's not consistent, so
Yeah.
it's not a challenge. So effect of context and cultural not sufficiently documented that.
Yes. Inconsist. Okay. Consistent interpretation. Whatever. going to write it again. Interpretation. So the answer is C because um, example, a smile may convey happiness in many culture, but the intensity and meaning of the smile can differ. So suppose we want to train a model and we have high variability. How are we going to tell the model that this is also smile, this is also smile? It's nowhere written, it's nowhere labeled. So this is a great challenge that suppose in one context, one um, social setting it is acceptable, but in other it's not. Then how should we describe it? There is no documentation for these. So this is something really challenging regarding to the affect system, or even like to generalize to if we want to produce a system for just the Indian context, ignoring the intra India variability, because within the states also we are very different. But suppose on a national level we are able to produce some good results, but then if we want to generalize every like to every country in the world, then it's not possible because so much variability is there that it's not even documented. How will we even teach the model that okay, this is like it will be huge set of rules, if else, if else, if else. So it is going to be a huge challenge. So effect of context and culture. Last question. Users trust, I think last. Users trust and feel more comfortable with the app when there are explicit agreements and contracts. True or false? Very simple. Okay. If everything is written in advance, like there is transparency, it can provide clear and comprehensive information. It helps to understand the scope of data collection, purpose, potential risks or implications. If I know each and everything about it, it's like a manual for me. And it will be very transparent. Informed consent, it's like I am you have outlined everything. Okay, this might also go wrong in this experiment. So are you ready to take this risk? Then I have outlined that I'm very informed about it, but still I won't do it. For example, if we go for paragliding, then there is some document is lying like if something happens then we are not responsible. So we will do, but it's an informed consent. ठीक है. And by outlining why the risk, because then make sure that the user is very informed about the implications, and then they can make a decision to push the ban or to continue to ban. So yeah, like it is very helpful in trust building, and when user are provided explicitly, like you have that you have everything stated written well, then of course I will trust something more than something not that well documented, or it doesn't come with any with a warning or a theme. And so I would definitely, so then I have trust in that app. I would not confident in a third party. I would prefer to use Google app because the trust factor is so high there, and I am sure that Google won't breach my data and sell my data, etc. So yeah, user protection is there. Users are also informed about their rights, what they can do, what they can't. Then comes the formal agreements, and if there is any breach happening, then you can file a case, or you can tell that you can request the repercussions and legal actions can be taken and get the compensation, etc. So yeah, we can say that we of course we trust where we have explicit So this is the last question. Clear documentation is very important to foster trust in certificate. Should so it plays a crucial role if we just talk about the documentation part. So first point is how the app works in the interface. This is like a manual, app manual. You have to follow these steps वगैरह. Then second is helps users understand the app's capabilities. Many people learn the application while employing definitely, but then this capability means like what purpose is actually the app like fulfilling. Uh, what it can do in the sense that your data can be used up to certain this extent. It won't then apps capabilities are there, then data usage. How is data being collected? Where will we use the data? Where will like this is the maximum level where we can go, and this is beyond this limit we can't cross. This is the second thing. And does it like exploit the users flexibility? We don't want a user to be using to happy. We don't want any repeat response. It's not like that. So even if the application is not very old or not a very complex solution, but still you can't expect the user to depend on it. So yeah, this helps us to understand the app's capability and usage, and how the app works in the interface. Then navigate the app, interact with this documents, and we should understand what the app collects. Is it collecting your data? How is it storing the data? How is it protecting the privacy? What setting does it do with just advertisements like your chats are included? So it will just tell. That's how it will do. It will just tell that there is such a data advancement like the transactions or all. So yeah, so both we have to understand that. So I think yeah, the most part of this is the last question that we have, and I hope these questions were helpful for you, and I tried to make the content in such a way that we cover the whole content as much as possible, and I wish you very like the best of luck for your exams.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you did a very good job. You explained so nicely.
Thank you
Your
so
PDF
much.
documentation is too good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the appreciation, and it motivates me to do good. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you doing research in this affective computing?
No,
I
it's
mean,
not
your research
my.
area is this?
No, it's not my primary area.
Okay.
So I usually work in broader like deep learning and speech processing.
Okay, okay. Speech
Yeah.
processing.
So I work in that area. Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you so much. Actually, during the course, they have to cover so much stuff within that video that sometimes they just name the concept and they don't have enough.
Yes, they do not go detail into it. That's
Yeah.
it.
So the course structure is like that. That's why. But these sessions are actually meant to be a complementary session for that, in addition to the course. So I'm really glad that these sessions were helpful, and all I will upload this session today itself so that you all can prepare for the examination well. And yeah, Ajinkya, I will just upload the contents today. By tonight it will be done, and the links will also be shared. So thank you so much for joining the sessions.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. All the best for your PhD and all. Wow.
Thank you so much. I really need it. Okay, this is the feedback form, Rishabh. Which form is that? Okay. Uh, I think they float this form every week or every alternate week. So if that comes, then definitely I would request you all to fill this up. Difficulty level of exam. Actually, Harsh, I'm not that with the examination team, so I won't be able to comment on that. But what I heard from the team is that mostly it's going to be similar to assignments. So if you see that assignments are not that tough, and what we have covered in these live sessions is that we have covered way too much in detail. So I think if you go through these sessions, you can go like speed up the video, or like watch these videos in 2x, and then you'll be able to cover it. Because I have to, take care of everyone who is joining. So I try to even explain the like basic things. I have to, it's my duty, but then you can skip those parts and then go ahead. So that will be helpful. My point is, if you go through the course contents, if you use this, if you watch these lectures as well, I think you will be able to cover most of the contents. Now if something comes out of, I don't know, out of syllabus, I can't comment on that. Yes, you should also attempt the assignments. I hope you're attempting the assignments as well. Yeah, you. Then I think other than that, have you watched the course videos as well? Like proper videos. You should watch the videos as well, because sometimes some things I might not. Actually, NPTEL videos are, you can watch these at like 2x speed, so that will be, you will be able to cover it more easily, because they are usually long. That's why we are tired watching at these long videos. Uh, One thing, can you can do, if you go to the page where the videos are there, there is transcript as well, if I'm not wrong. So there is one like shortcut. If you want to do that, there are transcripts, right? You can read the transcripts in one go. And if you find some, confusion, then you can go to that certain timestamp, and then, um, because mostly we are talking about something. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I am also like, I sometimes refer to those transcripts, that if you easily, but I am aware of this effective computing, but since if you're studying for the first time, I would recommend to go for videos first. But then if you want to revise that content very fast, or even if you want to refer to that video very, you don't have much time, you can refer to the transcripts as well. That worked for me. Maybe it will work for you as well. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Any other doubts? Actually, yes, I also found that options are vague, like, but then uh, previous assignments were also sometimes it was like that. Actually, the course is also somewhat more on the theoretical side, right? Um, what happens is usually these kind of, it's mostly like ethics. Uh, Now we talked so much about ethics. We all know that we should preserve the privacy. It's very basic thing. Now curating some questions out of it, formulating those questions, it's sometimes difficult, and sometimes it's repetitive as well. I know that many questions are very repetitive here in the sessions as well. But then the course is designed in such way that we have to cover each and everything. This is something very basic, like privacy concern will be there, bias. We are well aware of these terms, but then again, depends on the course as well. And it had so much to do with the psychological things as well, like theories were there, many things that we usually don't study when we are CS people. We don't usually go for this psychology thing, but since this This subject demands some basic knowledge from the psychology domain as well, because it lies in the intersection. Rishabh, I am not aware, as far as I know, that this course is the only course on affective computing on NPTEL, but I haven't checked on Coursera, etc. If you would, there must be something related, maybe not by the name of affective computing, but there are books, good books, though. I know, like, you can find those books in the reference section for this NPTEL video as well. Because what was that book? Picard or something? No, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, there were some good books. At some point, I was also trying to find some good resources regarding to this effective computing. So I also came across uh, these books. So I would recommend you, if you really want to dive deep, you can refer to those. I'm glad. Yes, thank you so much. Books will be theoretical. I'm not sure. I've not gone through that, Rishabh, but I can't comment on anything else because I haven't really, you know, um, because I had to refer to this course. So I also, basically, my content is also kind of limited to these videos only. So, but if you want to expand like your knowledge base, definitely go and read. And you can also skip the irrelevant. Nothing is irrelevant though, but still, if it doesn't interest you, then you can also skip it. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm ending the meeting now. You may please leave. Thank you for joining.